No question about it. There's a lot riding on this game for Michigan State against Boston College, but can those Eagles say the same over there? I don't know. Let's find out. Crossover style.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
This episode of Locked On Spartans and Locked On Boston College is brought to you by Mazda. Just like there's more to every player, more dedication, more attention to detail, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Stay tuned later in the episode for highlights in this week, moving the game forward. Mazda. Move and be bold. Spartan friends, Spartan family, and hello, you fine citizens of Chestnut Hill. Welcome to a crossover episode of, hey, that's Locked On Spartans. Locked On Boston College. We are doing this yet again. Seeing our teams meet up, AJ Black. And look, over here in East Lansing, I'm not mincing words this week on the show. I've not done so in the offseason because I think that this is as close to a must-win game as you can get in week 2. It's not even a conference game. It sounds ridiculous, but look, man, the perception of this Michigan State program kind of just lies in the balance of this game. You win, you beat a Power 4 team, you show improvement from last year in year 2 of Jonathan Smith. It's going to go a long way with this fan base. If you lose, if you're sloppy with the ball again, if your offensive and defensive line play isn't up to snuff, then what are we doing here? You can see I'm already stressed about this game here, man. Like you're looking at apathy if you lose, just losing the belief amongst your own team if you can't find a way to win this game. And this is not saying that Boston College is some walkover game, but you have to show progress from where you were at last year. It's in your home barn. AJ, I've said it. I'll say it again. This is a must-win for Michigan State. What are the stakes looking like for Boston College, though? Like, is it as drastic? Are you guys a little more measured right now? Where are we at over there?
We're right in the same. We're in the same car as you guys on this one because really, BC has to win this game. It's the same thing.
Look at us, week 2,
because
the energy.
It's a different reason, right? So BC is retooled, and we'll talk a little bit more about this. Their whole team. We saw them play Fordham last week. That don't really count. That's it's playing a high school team, right? So this week, this is your first real true test. You look at what BC has coming up. At the end of September, you're playing Notre Dame, Clemson, Louisville, Georgia Tech, SMU. Like they've got a gauntlet of games. If they want to show improvement, every BC fan out there has circled this game as like you got to win this because after this month it's Cal and Stanford. Cal looked better than I expected, but you playing them at home. You should be able to beat them. Stanford's terrible. And then you could get up to what your team should be getting to, which is another bowl game. And then after this year, hopefully your schedule isn't so so tough. So I look at this game as, you beat them last year. It was a weird game. It was raining. It was red bandana. Obviously Chiles had an off game, but no one was really doing much on offense. What will this Saturday look like?
I don't know, hopefully a little cleaner because, hey, Chiles had some awesome moments in that game last year, but he also realistically probably could have had 8 interceptions in that game. I mean, I think he finished with 3. About 5 more bounced off the helmet or the chest plates on a very monsoony night in Chestnut Hill, but that didn't slow the Spartans from airing that ball out 40 times. Which I actually think was the correct strategy because we could not run the ball for a lick last year, AJ. And let's actually start there because, look, just one game into the season for our Michigan State Spartans. Walked in with low expectations for the run game. They moved the rock pretty efficiently in the first half against Western Michigan, 130 yards on the ground just in the first half. The second half was a different story. But that already on offense is the biggest change from where we were last season. What say you about Boston College? Obviously, new quarterback in place.
Yep.
You still have Lewis Bond, who was there catching passes for Matt Ryan back in the day, so that's not going to be a difference. But with the whole offense, like, what are we looking at as the biggest difference here?
I mean, obviously, you mentioned Tommy's gone. He's he's getting Heisman love now at Florida State. So
is he? Is that what happened? Oh my goodness!
Who was it? On 3 had him as their top Heisman person, right?
Wow, that's
like one game, really? All right, whatever.
Okay.
All the power to him. If you want to listen to my real thoughts on Tommy, check out Locked On BC. But you're looking at this team, and Bill's finally got his quarterback. I think that's the big thing. Yeah. Dylan Lonergan, who Michigan Michigan State fans should know he got dinged up against Fordham and missed practice on Tuesday. He's back today. He was back today, but that was pretty significant. Now he's an Alabama transfer. O'Brien recruited him to Alabama when he was there with Saban, and then he entered the portal because Alabama had like 15 quarterbacks, and all of them were like 4 and 5 stars. So he was just buried, and so he ends up winning the starting job from Grayson James, who was the starter after Tommy got benched last year. And he looked good in this first back. But again, it goes back to what I said at the beginning of this. What's he going to look like against a real team? Yeah. I don't know. I could tell you. You know, you played against Fordham. Any quarterback worth his lick can do that. But that's a big thing we're going to be looking for, because he runs a much more pro-style offense. You think back to what the Patriots did, what O'Brien did with Brady. Like, this is what Lonergan is. I'm not calling him Brady. Please don't hit me up in the comments.
No, you're on the record. It's too late. Yeah. We're clipping that, and there we go.
But you know what I mean? Like, short passes, like really, it's all about ball control and good decision making. It's not being reckless with the football. You're going to see a lot of that with Lonergan. The big question I think Michigan fans are going to be watching for BC is their run game actually there? They could not run the ball at all against Fordham. Yep. Mm-hmm. And watching the film, my film guy, Mitchell Wolf, he watched it and said, they were putting 9 guys in the box and just daring BC to throw.
They were, yeah.
And that was one big piece. And the other was the O'Brien kind of hinted to it, but again, watching the film, they did not do anything on running. Like, they just did, zone duos over and over and over and over and over again. They didn't want to get anything on film. I think that was the big thing, is you're going against a quarterback that you haven't played before, that really hasn't played at all collegiately. They're trying to keep everything under wraps for this game. So it's going to be really important for them. That's why I think they were like, well, if they're going to stop the run, we'll just roll the ball down their throat. But I think you're going to see a different BC running game than you saw in that Fordham game. And whether it works or not, it's going to be a whole other story.
That is what I wanted to hammer almost immediately, because I've been beating that drum too on Locked On Spartans, just, doing some box score watching and also watching whatever highlights I can find of that game. And you are right. Like, the Fordham Rams, my God, they love themselves an 8-man box. Like, Lordy, gentlemen, we can drop another guy in the secondary here, but nevertheless, like, I think it was 2.9 yards per carry after you take out all the sack numbers and everything. It was 108 yards on the ground, 90 after contact. Look, you guys are replacing 3 very talented offensive linemen from last year. Is another point I've been bringing up. 2 to the NFL. 1 just got cut from an NFL team. So, scale of like 1 to 10, where are you at with concern? 10 being like, scrap the whole program, actually. It's all over. We're not going to run against anyone this year. Is it high or is it low right now?
I put it at like a 5. Okay. It's a 1 data point, and I need to see more. Yeah. Like, I really want to see what they pull out on Saturday. Like, are there other things, or are these new offensive linemen, are they not gelling, or is Turbo Richards not as good as I thought he was going to be, or what are we going to see here? Because I'm not sure. It could go either way. I've watched enough BC football where things go sideways real quick, and so that could happen. But I also have faith in Bill O'Brien. I feel like he's a smart coach, and he knows what he's going to need to do to fix things. So that could happen. So it's right down the middle. Like, you catch me at any point of the day, I might say a different thing. Like, I'm feeling good. I feel like they're gonna fix it. On the other, oh gosh, I don't know. Is this gonna happen again? So it's kind of in the middle. Now, what you were saying the Michigan State running attack is getting better. I remember Ron Adams last year. He had his moments, but it was tough.
He was a pit bull.
They look good again. They look good against Western Michigan with the running attack. What changed?
Well, the only way to go was up from last year, and that's no disrespect to our running backs. Look, Nate Carter just made a 53-man roster with the Atlanta Falcons. It turned out what I was saying, and look, we're not right about everything on this show, but when I'm saying that he was a plus running back that just got absolutely no help last year from the line, I think at least the Atlanta Falcons agree with that sentiment. K'Ron Lynch-Adams, tough runner, obviously, but my God, these guys were getting popped in the backfield sometimes, more often than they would get past the line without getting hit. This Boston College game last year was one of those moments, AJ. They had more yards after contact than they did yards per carry last year in this game. So you talk about the bar being below the basement. That's where you're at last year. Now, how on earth did we get here? Well, my goodness gracious, we got some good transfers. Matt Golden right there in the middle from your conference, Wake Forest. Really good pickup for Michigan State. On the outside, Montana State transfer at the tackle position, Connor Moore. On the left or on the right side there, and with Caleb, oh my gosh, Caleb Carter in the middle, they were really opening up some really nice holes early on. So that's where it was. Some nice outside zone running when they had to do it in the middle. They were getting it done. So it's just a combination of, only way to go is up here. And also, hey, some really solid offensive line portal pickups that we were kind of wondering if it would click early. And so far, appears to be. Now, we're going to switch sides of the ball here. I do want to talk about this defense where things got different for both our teams. But AJ, need to talk to people's ears off about upside. Hey, Locked On fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Well, just stop. Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code FOOTBALL and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you're already using. At first, I did think it was too good to be true. I'm going to be honest, but it is totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, e-gift card, Amazon, other brands, you name it, guys. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited promo code FOOTBALL for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That is promo code FOOTBALL. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. Also, guys, let's hear from our friends at Mazda. This is Mazda's Moving the Game Forward, brought to you by those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it is about redefining it. Because these moments do more than win, they push what's possible. They remind us to go that extra yard, shift into extra gear, and keep moving the game forward. Kind of like Omar Kelly, great wide receiver for Michigan State, did last year. He showed the world why. Not only is he going to be really good this year, he could have some NFL potential. AJ, over there, who moved the needle? Who drove it forward?
I have to go with Bam Crouch, the linebacker, had a pick six, a sack. He was everywhere. This was a guy that was a needle mover. It did everything for Boston College in that Fordham win.
There we go, guys. That's what keeps fans and players alike moving forward, always chasing the next great moment. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. It's Mazda. Move and be moved. Now let's talk about this defensive side of the ball here, because you had a game wrecker last year, Ezra Raku, coming off that edge last year, and thank the heavens he is no longer at Boston College. That man is cashing NFL checks.
Yep.
Because, my God, that was not fun last year. I did not have a great time watching him play against Michigan State. I was really hoping he'd have an off game. It's 2 sacks in the backfield. Pretty much every time Aidan Chiles was in the backfield, it felt like. But he is gone. You guys are replacing, if I'm not mistaken, 3 of the 4 defensive linemen.
4, actually. I think every offense. The last one entered the portal right after spring practice. So George Rook, Ezra Raku, Cam Horsley, and Rooks. That's all 4.
Again, I know it's Fordham. You're playing against a team that practices in the community parks over at the Bronx. Not a lot to take away.
Yep.
How are we feeling about that front? Is that the biggest difference? And what's the vibe like?
I think the BC's defense is going to be different. I definitely think, Tim Lewis, their defensive coordinator, is, Will Blackman, who played in the NFL, was talking to my writer online. It was like, he comes up with a different defensive scheme every single game, drastically different things. He's just an old school guy. He can figure things out. So I think he understands exactly what you said. Like, they don't, and O'Brien said this, like, they don't have the guys to replace Ezra Raku, but they're doing a bunch of different things to hopefully, cover and emphasize the strengths of their defense, which is the secondary. The secondary is very, very good. Better than last year. They've got 3 safeties right now that are going to be excellent. One of them they've been using as a nickelback. Like, those guys are really good. They got Amari Jackson, who blew out his knee at the middle of last year. He's back. Like, they've got a lot of talent there. And I think that they're using a lot of moving guys around and confusing offenses to kind of mask some of the deficiencies, which is right. Like, their edge rushers, they got Quintavious Hutchins. They call him Q. He's pretty good. Like, he had, I think, 5 sacks last year. Didn't see a whole lot against Fordham because they were just cycling everybody in and out. But I think what you're really going to notice with BC is that they're going to be pushing that secondary. They're going to get aggressive with the safeties. Those guys are violent. They're really pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, your defense, let's talk about that. I saw, and I think the number was 27 transfers, and I heard a lot of it was on the defensive side. What changes have you seen in the defense?
It was a healthy smattering of transfers on the defense. I'm going to highlight two positions here. One of them was that cornerback spot because, well, we lost our top two corners from last year. One transferred to Miami. The other one just ran out of eligibility. So the route Michigan State went to is going to the lower level, finding guys that did great at like Texas State, for example, UConn, Eastern Illinois, Bowling Green, and getting guys to hopefully contribute at this Power 4 level right off the bat. Now, Joshua Eaton, this is the guy from Texas State. Really solid job last game. He kind of got popped on a downfield pass. First play of the game, and you're thinking, uh-oh, but buttoned it up right after that. He was draped over him. Great pass, great catch from the Bronco duo right there. Now, on the other side, Malcolm Bell kind of shifting with the cornerback 2 role with another young guy, Chance Rucker, who's been here in the program. But that's what we're looking at for those two transfers right there, just high production guys at lower levels. Let's see if you can make it happen here. Now, the second position was the position that I screamed about in the middle of last year, and then eventually I just got beaten into submission of apathy because we went 6 straight games last year at one point without a sack, AJ.
Wow.
That was like a FBS record for the last 20 or 25 years. We saw that graphic time and time again. A lot of fun. So you had to go swimming in the transfer portal. I'm still not wholly convinced Michigan State did enough there because they got some guys. They got a guy from Texas Tech who lost his starting job after an injury. They got a guy from Wisconsin who didn't play a single snap as a true freshman. Now, he did get a sack last week. How fun. They went and they got a guy from Air Force. Did pretty good as a redshirt freshman, but still, that is Air Force, not Power 14. So, still up to discussion here. And to face a solid offensive line, even at the baseline, a solid offensive line, as Boston College, we're going to get a lot of answers about this pass rush here coming up. So I am more convinced that success will happen at the corner spot than I am this edge rush position. But yeah, still plenty of question marks on this defense coming from those two spots right there.
And it's interesting you brought up bringing in guys from lower level programs because BC did that. They did that in the winter portal window. They brought in guys from Valpo and Elon and all these other smaller schools. And I think they were hoping to develop them, which you're going to see on Saturday. None of those guys are playing. I think they just realized they weren't. I don't know if they're going to redshirt them or what. They got one guy, a kid from Merrimack. His name is Favor Bate. It looks like Favor Bate, which he actually was. I was told originally by a staff member that's how you say his name was Favor Bate until someone in his family was like, no, it's Bate. I don't know who figured this guy out. He played 125 snaps for Merrimack last year.
Sure.
And at defensive tackle in BC, he was like 260 pounds. BC moves him to edge and slims him down a little bit. And all of a sudden this summer, I'm like, who is this guy? Like all of a sudden he's everywhere. And I'm like, and I also want to know who found this guy's film. Like he didn't really, like you're mentioning guys that were like stars. This guy didn't even really play, and like they found him, and all of a sudden now he's going to potentially be a really valuable role player for them. So that was the one they got. And then during the spring portal, they ended up getting a linebacker from Michigan, Jason Hewlett, kid from West. I think Bill figured out that it wasn't working because he went to Wake Forest, West Virginia, and Michigan to fill back on some of those positions he looked for in the spring. So we'll see what happens there, but it was, they did kind of the same thing.
So what do you think is going to happen with this defensive coordinator? Because like you said, different game plan every single week. I go back to last year's game, only 12 blitzes against Aidan Chiles. Now, was that because that teams could get pressure against Michigan State without blitzing? That was probably your answer right there, actually. That was probably the answer key. But against Fordham, boy, howdy, you guys certainly blitzed a lot more. I believe it was 19 times, just about half the dropbacks that the Rams had. Yep. Which way you leaning right now? Or I'll give you the cop-out answer of just saying straight up, I got no idea what to expect. Like, where are we going to
I do have an answer. I think they're going to blitz crazy because that's what if last year BC went through, like they were like a roller coaster, right? Like they started the season off, they obviously beat Michigan State, they beat Florida State, but then Tommy just fell apart. Like the wheels came off.
Yeah.
In addition to that, they did some changes to the defense for that last month where BC won 3 out of 4 and all against bowl eligible teams. They were blitzing like crazy, like 40%. I think it was like 40 to 43%. My guy was telling me that last month, and it obviously continued against Fordham. Like I think that's a big thing with Lewis is like he's very big into confusing you, who's coming, who's going. It's not ever what you think it's going to be, and I think you're going to see a lot of that on Saturday. Now, you said Michigan State had a sack. Are they going to be able to get pressure against BC?
We'll see. I don't know. No, I mean they did decent enough against Western, but that was a Western Michigan unit that was replacing 4 starting offensive linemen from the year prior. A lot of the pressure came from the linebacker position, a position that I'm pretty high on this year. I think they have gotten more athletic in that regard, but man, it'd be crazy for me to come on here and say like, oh no, we are going to get pressure on Boston College. No questions whatsoever. No, that is the question on the defense. Like, can we actually get Dylan Lonergan going? Which, by the way, really quick, that injury, have they been telling people what that is? Upper body, lower body? I've heard a rumor it's leg, but is that a substantiated rumor? Anything or no?
I can't. Listen, people listen to my podcasts.
Sure.
I don't know what it is. I don't have a clue. I could tell you at one point during the Fordham game, right before they yanked him in the third quarter and they were up like 60-0 or whatever. Right. He was limping around. So I don't know if that has to do with it. I'm not sure. That's what I saw on TV though. Yeah. And so maybe he had treatment on Monday. That's something they said they had to do. He looked great today. So I feel like whatever it is, it was, just something they need to work out with the trainers.
And let's keep talking about this game coming up here. We first need to talk everyone's ears off about DoorDash because it's almost the weekend. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. So over here in good old Spartyville, our player of the week who delivered in a big way. We already talked about Omar Kelly. Let's go Mekhi Frazier. Guy had 7 carries last year, and hey, he showed out pretty well in the first half, making good cuts, seeing great holes. How about you guys over there at Boston College? Who delivered for DoorDash last week?
I'm going with Lewis Bond. As you said, he's been around forever, but had 11 catches for over 100 yards, no touchdowns. But as we were saying, they went up. When Fordham was pressuring up the middle, he was open over them every single time, and he had a huge game for BC.
Just like Bond, just like Frazier delivering for the Eagles and the Spartans, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order, stack it all season long, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive. Feel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo code period is through November 18th. AJ, X Factor. Mm-hmm. Either side of the dealer's choice. You pick the side of the ball. Who's the X factor for Boston College in this game on Saturday night?
I'm going to go with Omar Thornton. I talked about the secondary. He's a maniac out there. That's the way I can say it. Like, this is a kid that played as a freshman last year. Just as an example, I was at camp all summer, just hanging and watching. BC's got a running back, Jordan McDonald. Just see him too. 6'2", 240. Omar Thornton's 5'10". 190 pounds. He did not care all summer long, just flying as a safety in and hitting him every single practice and taking him off his feet. So he is, a kid he's got swagger. He's learning the position real fast. He's a playmaker. And I think, with what BC did to Chiles last year. We don't know if that's going to happen again, but I could see Omar Thornton being a big catalyst. I think he actually had a fumble recovery against Michigan State on special teams last year.
I think everyone at Boston College had some turnover of some sort. Yeah. So that sounds about right.
That was the one where they fumbled it on the kickoff return. I think it was. I think he was the one that returned it.
Yeah, I blocked that on my memory. Wow, that brought back a lot of great times. Great.
Well, I had in my brain because you had mentioned that Aidan Chiles threw like 8 interceptions. I had in my brain that he threw 4, but then I looked it up and I was like, no, he had 3, and there was another turnover, and there was Thornton with the fumble return.
Just 3, and it was lucky to only to be 3. Yeah. But again, he had to be a big playmaker last year. And look, can I?
You were playing with no wide. That game was insane because you had no wide receivers.
Yeah, I was playing.
Nick Marsh wasn't there. Yeah, Antonio Case Jr. was out. I remember just because I don't even know if he was good or not. I just remember that name. But you had like 3 other guys that were out. So you're playing you were playing wide receiver. I think
I was playing in the slot. We had Sparty over at the X, Zeke the Wonder Dog at the Z. We still had to air it out 40 times when it was.
You had Magic Johnson playing tight end for you.
Magic Johnson getting 10 snaps in. Yeah, it was a great time. Can I be the biggest, lamest podcaster right now? Because as we're talking about X factors, can ours just be our quarterback, like our starting quarterback, a guy that has a lot of fanfare around him? Because Okay, if you want me to go a little bit deeper and actually give a name that people might not know, Stan Ramil, our left tackle, it was not the greatest showing from him last week. I think people are overblowing how bad it actually was, but still, we're going to have to protect the quarterback here, guys. Why Aidan Chiles, though, needs a little more spotlight for this game and why there are so many eyeballs on him is that him against pressure, is it great against any quarterback out there in the nation? No, but can it really be improved upon for Aidan Chiles? Yes. And I think we saw that last week. He was pressured on 10 times. He got off 5 passes. He completed 2 of them. Okay, got to be a little bit better with the hot routes. He did identify some things very well pre-snap I saw last week. And whether it was his identification, the offensive line's identification, and communication, both of those were talked about in press conferences this week. That has to get better. Him under pressure, especially when it's going to look like that scene in The Lion King, where these hyenas are just going to rain down on these lions, and my God, your defensive coordinator is going to send those eagles bearing down on Chiles. Like, you got to be ready. You got to know where your hot routes are. You got to communicate pre-snap where things are coming from, and that goes for Chiles, the center, all the offensive line. That's going to be the name of the game here, is how is Chiles going to be against pressure? And I know that boils it down to just something so simple, but man, you talk about an Achilles heel for Chiles. It was that last year, and it's already starting to look like that just one game in to this season. So that's where I was going to say that's where I'm losing sleep. I'm losing sleep everywhere this week. Who am I kidding? Like, everything bothers me.
What is that?
I know. Speaking of, like, look, this line comes out 3.5 Michigan State point favorites. It gets down to 2.5. Now it's at 4.5 or 5, depending where you look. S&P plus those, that's right, those nerds with the numbers, they're projecting a 2-point Boston College win. AJ, let's do the oldest trope in the book here, man. Let's talk predictions. Like, how you feeling about your Eagles over there?
Oh man, this is the part of the episode where we both piss off the other team's fan base. So I'll start off by getting them nice and angry.
Good.
So I like how BC matches up, as you mentioned. I think BC secondary is going to be really good, and could cause some problems. So I have BC winning this one. I think Lonergan's going to make enough plays. I think the run game will be good enough. I don't know if it's going to be great. But I think it'll be another close one. You know, last year was a classic. I know you guys probably felt, like crap after, but I'll go with BC winning like 27-24, something like that.
Okay. Felt like crap after, but it was one of those games where, hey, Chiles, first hostile road start. Horrible game statistically, but we will grow from this. We will learn from this, and that's why it has to start coming to fruition right now. Game 14 as a starter for the green and white. Full off season, retooled offensive line, kept the whole offensive staff last year, actually added a quarterbacks coach into the mix, which he said was the greatest thing that's ever happened to his life. We have at least one, if not 2 NFL receivers that you get to throw to. People keep on talking about our tight end room as if it's one of the best in the Big Ten, but now I'm at the point, honestly, where I got to actually see it to believe it. But there are some people that are very high in them. Offense should have no excuses, and that's why, AJ, if they lose this game, I might have to record this one in the car to not wake up my kids because, oh no, Dad's screaming about teenagers again. When will they ever stop? I will not be happy if they lose this game. But emotion aside, I think this offense can do enough, even against a solid secondary, to put up somewhere in the neighborhood of 28 points. I think the defense can do enough to, hey, maybe not make the run game come to life for Boston College. Now, Dylan Lonergan, again, it was against Fordham. I did appreciate what I saw from him on film, though. Thought his touch passes were beautiful. I'm scared of Lewis Bond. I think this will be a close game, but I think it's a Michigan State victory. Now, as I say close game, AJ, can I bring up one more thing that's going to make me lose some sleep?
Go for it. I
don't know if our first-string kicker's kicking. I don't know if our second-string kicker's kicking. Both those guys missed week 1 with groin issues. How the hell does that happen in fall camp? How do you lose your top 2 kickers in fall camp? So anyway, we had a guy last week. He kicks the extra points, but we also had a 46-yard attempt. We brought our punter out for that one. Had the leg. He missed it left. He laughed afterwards. So it's like, this comes down to field goal kicking, which the spread says it should. That's also got me a little shooketh.
I'm not very great about BC kicking either. They kicked a 48-yard field goal last week, but you mentioned two things. The Michigan State game last year was a big moment for BC because in that game, I think you guys stuffed Tommy on 1 4th down and one.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
And he got hurt. And the next week we had Grayson.
That.
Because Grayson James played the next week, and that was the downfall of Tommy Castellanos after that. Additionally, our kicker got hurt in that game, which I didn't know about because they hide all that. But BC ended up kicking after that, I think 2 field goal attempts the entire rest of the year. They had 5 attempts, and I think 3 of them were up until that Michigan State game when Luca Lombardo hurt something. I don't know what he hurt, but he's back. So the kicking game, because of the Michigan State, I'm guessing because of the weather, because it was wet as heck out there, something happened. And then BC just could not. Our special teams last year was awful. Awful. We were last in the country in field goal attempts.
Okay.
We had the worst punter in the country by far. We had our field goal kicker kicking punts. They fixed a lot of this. Their last week, BC's punter averaged 47.5 yards per punt, which, believe me, I'm up at the press box going, oh my gosh, this is so great. It's back. They can actually play complimentary football again. This is great. So you got that back. If we're talking about field goal kicking, though, this could be
it might be a night of just going for it. Like me on Madden after 9 beers, we are going for it every single time past the 50. I don't care if it's 4th and 23. 4 verts it is. Let's go, boys.
Yep.
Oh, man. When I hit the stop recording button, I'm going to have a mental breakdown. I just know I am. Like, this game means so much to the program. Yep. I can't do another year of this because, look, no disrespect to Boston College, and there are like analytics that back this up numerically. If you can't beat Boston College at home, why should I believe you on the road against USC? Why should I believe you on the road against Nebraska? Oh, you're going to host Michigan and just beat them? You're going to host Penn State? Like, this is one of the games that you just absolutely have to get if you want bowl eligibility. So that's why I'm coming on here. Inside padded walls, actually. This is a padded walled area that I am. And sounding like
bang in your head if you need to.
Patient. Yeah, who's to say? Who is to say? Guys, I'm Matt Sheehan. If you want more mental breakdowns, hey, join us here on Lockdown Spartans. Hey, we got a fun guest tomorrow, Noah Eagle of NBC. He will be calling this game. He's going to join us for a hot second. Hey, guys, over there, AJ Black doing fantastic work. Anything you want to plug here before we let you go, man?
Yeah, come over to Lockdown BC tomorrow. I just mentioned my film guy, Mitchell Wolf. He comes on Fridays. We get the game, I mean, he's got a huge breakdown on Michigan State and what he's seen, and so we'll have predictions and previews on that. Check that out on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts.
And no matter what happens, you can catch us in the post game right here in the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, guys, until next time, hey, folks over Chestnut Hill, take care of yourselves. Hope you have a great weekend outside the hours of 7:30 to 11 p.m. But other than that, I wish you nothing but the best. And Spartan fans, you already know this. Love you all. All right, guys, all the viewers, all the listeners, thank you very much. We will see you next time.